Okay. Rock those shades. Let's get woke. Raise the roof. Be the truth. That's what I'm trying to do. Spark that blunt. Rock those shades. Let's get woke. Raise the roof. Be the truth. Yo, check it. I'm falling from an empty sky. I don't know why. I don't have everything I want in my life. Struggle and strife. Been rife. For like a decade or so. Everything is touch and go. Hearing stories from so and so, and now it's old. Especially coming from these lighties. Suddenly feel like I'm just begging you to like me. And that's a joke. None of you can get it. You're just leaves on a family tree. Found roots in friends. Too real to pretend. Backwards they would bend. It's all about the message that you send. The impression you make. It's no debate. We're lost forever. With you in stormy weather. We'll always be together. Spark that blunt. Rock those shades. Let's get woke. Raise the roof. Beat the truth. Spark that blunt, rock those shades. Let's get woke, raise the roof, be the truth. Yo, check who are these wolves in sheep's clothing that swear by the hair on their chinny chin that they with you for the win. I doubt it. The situation looks bleak. Baba black sheep. Have you any wool? I got like 3 bags full. They wanna take me for a fool, but I set the rules. Basically, I grew up in the south of Johannesburg. For all of my life, I'd say. I grew up lived there in Vrede, which is a little suburb next to Malbart and Glen Vista in the south, and I was there till matric, and then after matric, I kind of moved to Eldos. Big difference, big culture shock, but yeah, my upbringing was great. I was always in Eldos and stuff. Because of my family, a lot of my family is from there, but I grew up in the suburban south, went to Glen Vista High School, and yeah, went to Wits, left Wits, just, have been living life since then. My childhood was kind of very, I don't even know a word to describe it, because my life has changed so much since like school days. I feel like it was a whole nother life, and because since high school my parents got divorced, so my life has been totally different since then, even in terms of like just a living situation, has been different. So it was a great childhood, and then we skipped on to real life basically, which kind of fucked with me a little.
To introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime he might perpetrate next? He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of the suicidal maniac.
So basically, I grew up in Glen Vista. My mom's from Eldos, my dad's kind of from Innerdale Eldos, and they are from there, but I grew up in a suburban area, and I used to go to Eldos a lot to like visit, family, because my family's there, my grannies and whatever. But when I moved there to live there, especially at the age I was at, because I was probably 20 at the time, it was a totally different situation, because now I'm actually living there, and now I'm actually operating in the hood, and actually seeing what's going on. And it was a culture shock to me, because I was like, why was I so oblivious to all of these things growing up? Like all of the shit that people are going through, how come I missed it? But I just realized that it's because I was a kid, and you're just there to visit your family, and it's not really, you're not looking at the issues, that people face and what actually makes them that way. So for the past few years that I was in Eldos, it really it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I think just changed my perspective in the direction of my life entirely. Because then, as much as I was always into like developing youth and stuff like that, it just became more real. Because then I just realized how much of a bigger problem we actually have, you know. So that was my culture shock. My mom, if it wasn't for my mom, I don't think I would have started the radio journey at all. Because I applied and stuff, and then they were like, okay, we'll get back to you and blah blah blah, and then I wasn't hearing anything, and then my mom, then I said, you know what, okay, I'm just gonna give up because whatever. Then my mom literally dragged me, took me and said, let's go to the radio station, let's do this. When we got there was literally just a communication issue, and I had gotten the job anyway, you know. So that was the start of my radio career, which is quite deep. Because you think you know it all till you're behind the microphone. And then the first time I went behind the mic, and then I played it back to myself, and it sucked badly. Like, it sucked so bad. Cause you think you know what a radio DJ sounds like, and then I was just like, yeah, you know. That time I wasn't even Phoenix yet. I was just Robin. I was just like, welcome to Cypher 87.6 Eldos FM, and I was just on this, like, it just sounded like I was rapping on the radio. And my producer was just like, calm it. It doesn't have to sound like that, you know. That's like old styles of radio. So that's where that's not really, I feel, Eldos FM doing community radio was really where I started to really get the confidence in speaking and projecting my ideas and saying what I want to say. And it was easier, and it helped me a lot because nobody could see me, and I could just be whatever and just talk and say whatever. So yeah, that was it was a pretty interesting journey. I think from starting to do radio is when the rap thing started to develop. Yeah, because then I was doing a hip-hop show. I was around artists, producers, event managers, whatever's, like, all the time. And then I realized that I also had the skill in me all this time without knowing. Because from small, I've always been a writer. So I always used to write stories, poetry, and that kind of thing. In high school, it developed to like spoken word and that kind of vibe. In varsity, and from that time, it just started growing. And when I started doing radio, that's when I started rapping it over beats and stuff. So, yeah. Yo, check. Who are these wolves in sheep's clothing that swear by the hair on their chinny chin that they with you for the win? I doubt it. The situation looks bleak. Baba black sheep. Have you any wool? I got like 3 bags full. They wanna take me for a fool, but I set the rules. I got the tools, I got all the jewels. Inky, pinky, punky when I choose. The battles I win, I never lose. I don't even have Monday blues. Found roots in friends, too real to pretend. Backwards they would bend. It's all about the message that you send. The impression you make, it's no debate. We'll last forever. With you in stormy weather, we'll always be together. Spark that blunt, rock those shades. Let's get woke, raise the roof. Beat the truth, beat the truth. Spark that blunt, rock those shades. Let's get woke, raise the roof. Beat the truth. Yeah. The build-up of me actually getting into rap and stuff definitely started behind the mic on the radio show, because I'm around all of these artists all the time, these rappers, and they're in the studio. And mind you, this is like mostly guys at the time, which is another issue that I've also learned to deal with over these years, because there's mostly guys in this rap industry. And then for them to walk into the studio for interview for their music as hip-hop artists, and then the anchor of the show is a female, and they immediately just like, you know, have an attitude about it. And because my producer is a male and he co-presented with me as well, but people automatically assume that he was gonna take the lead in this thing, and then he doesn't, and people are all shocked and stuff. So the build-up started there, where at first I never used to rap on the show, and then when I started something called Mechanics, which was like a freestyle cypher session that we would have on Fridays in a certain segment of the show. So rappers would just come through and would just throw down beats, and the beat would go loop, and rappers would do their thing, 16 bars after 16 after 16. And then it eventually got to the point where like I would get so into it with these guys as they're in the studio, and then I was just like, you know what, fuck it, let me also, you know. And then the first time it happened, like everyone that was in the studio was just like, whoa. You know, like they didn't expect it and stuff. So that's where it started for me, and where I started to make myself comfortable behind a microphone, and how I operate on it, like how loud do I have to rap, and how, you know, the overall, shut up, just the overall technique of rapping, and seeing different people's styles and listening to different people's journeys and how they ended up doing all of this stuff and wara. And you would think that at that time I would learn how to freestyle, but people don't know my journey, and that it started in writing. I didn't start as that girl in the cypher circle, you know, freestyling with the guys, with the other guy beatboxing. I didn't start like that. It started in writing for me. That's not even where the rap thing starts yet. It hasn't even reached its peak yet. Still doing radio. I end up applying for Y Academy, and I get in. Arrive there to do my interview, which I think it is, and we get there and there's like cameras everywhere and it's all of this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, what's going on now? I didn't sign up for this. Turns out YFM is doing their first ever reality TV show called Ground Zero, and this is now for the face of radio, and I'm in it, and I'm just like, oh shit. Like, I didn't expect any of that. So basically Ground Zero was it was a TV. It was giving viewers an idea of what the Y Academy is all about and what people go through. But we had it more difficult because of the TV show. So we kind of were pushed a lot more, which was amazing, because that also gave me so much more of the grit that I needed for what was to come. So I end up meeting up with this guy, and we create this group called KLRD. I'm the only female in it, 3 other males. Go figure. I'm with the group for like about a year. We released a track and a video called Failed Swag, and to this day people still in Eldos will be like, girl, I with the failed swag, and you know, there's that Bushy with the failed swag and all of that stuff, which is great and amazing, and that was also a great experience, which also gave me more grit. Then after doing that, I started gigging a lot more. This is now Y Academy is done. I came 4th, by the way, in the reality show. I took 4th place, and then I left KLRD, so all of that just changed. At that point in 2014, 15, 16, that was my freelancing years, and my years of community service, and my years of just really trying to get art into the community of Eldorado Park, which really baffles me, because so many of those kids are so talented and they just don't know it, and they just don't know what to do with it, and there's no education around it. There's no art in school, which was part of my culture shock I was talking about. My school had everything, you know what I mean? Anything that I wanted to do, I could really do. There was everything. Pottery, heating, whatever, you know what I mean? There was everything. In that school, there wasn't even an extramural drama class or like an art class. And for me, I was just like, even in the high school, like, y'all don't have visual art. Like, it was shocking to me, and it upset me deeply, and that kind of pushed me on my 3-year journey with Abnormal Talent with my best friend Delano Michael, who's the CEO, and we basically just been trying to create platforms for artists in Eldos, which is amazing and really fulfilling, and it really does a lot, but it's also like draining at the same time, because the problem is this big and you're one person, and it's like nobody's really trying to help. The one day, all I'm doing is chilling on the couch watching TV. It's a Sunday, and I see this ad on Vuzu about The Hustle. I didn't really watch the first season of The Hustle. I kind of caught it towards the end, so I had an idea of what it was all about. Then I was just thinking to myself, like, should I enter this thing? Because after doing the first reality show, I'm not really a fan of reality TV in the form of a competition, because I feel like I have my own issues with it. So I just went outside, did a video, posted it, hashtag Vuzu Hustle. Great, forgets that you even did this. This is like in December. The whole of January, these people are trying to get hold of me. Is Phoenix answering? No. Like, cause I completely forgot that I even entered, like, the competition. Cool. So they're even getting hold of my friends and whatnot. This is now in January. Get the call, Robin, you've made it to the final 20 of The Hustle. I'm just like, what? Okay. Now this is a bit of a spanner in the works I didn't really plan for. Because as much as I entered, I didn't think I would get in. Now I'm in, now what? Because at that point also, like, my rap career is very young at that point. It's not like I've got mixtapes under my belt and like all of these things, which is what a lot of the contestants that I was dealing with were. I think for guys that are interested in music, it starts at, I don't know, it's different for a lot of people, but everyone that was there had so much more experience than I did, so that's why I wasn't disappointed in me leaving at the point that I did, which was like top 11. I was just grateful for the opportunity, and I just learned a lot. When it comes to my style and my brand and like what I try to put out there and what the content of my existence basically, it's very different often, because firstly, as Robin, I would call myself probably in between an introvert and an extrovert as Robin. I like to be by myself. I like to be out with people who are on my wavelength, I'm not really into clubbing unless I'm performing. Like, that's how my life is. Like, I don't like to be in the crowd, but I like to observe, Doesn't mean I'm antisocial, or maybe I am to a certain degree. Like, if I don't have a list for you, then I probably won't. Don't take it personally. I feel everything in my life. Like, as an indigo child, like, already just existing is a lot for me, I have a lot of empathy towards everything, which is already the problem. So that's why I don't like to be in spaces where I feel hectic. But when it comes to music and art, or any form or way that I choose to express myself, whether it be painting or writing or whatever, dancing, so I was a dancer for a lot of my life as well, it's just different, and it just really depends on how I'm feeling or what I'm going through or whatever. But I find that it's difficult for me to write about cock. It's hard for me to do. I love music in general. I have nothing against any genres, like, because there are times when I'm wherever I am and I'm jamming to trap music or whatever. My issue comes in with the substance of it all, and I just feel like it's very unnecessary to have nothing to say in a trap song. You know what I mean? Like artists like Kendrick Lamar have taken the trap kind of style, even J. Cole, they've taken that trap sound and they still talk sense, you know, like it's not hard to like make sense. And that's actually my thing. As long as I make sense in what I'm saying to somebody, you know what I mean? And it's not always about the great things in life, you know. I think to some degree I'm also very dark. So I like to explore those dark emotions of being hurt, you know, and like betrayal and just your sadness and emptiness and loneliness. And my biggest root, well, the root I think of it all is just love at the end of the day. Honestly, over the past few years, especially since KLRD and now, I've been labeled as the bushy rap queen. What that means to me is the fact that colored people have not really been very recognized in a lot of shit, you know. So just calling or being called a bushy rap queen, bushy rap has, as we defined it like in the group, was it's just basically the slang and the everything about being colored that we are just unapologetic about. Accent, slang, dress code and whatnot, which I'm all for, which is amazing, and I'll always stand up for that. I also have issues with it because now I'm the bushy rap queen and people expect me to be a certain way or look a certain way or rap about a certain thing. I'm not always gonna, you know, I'm not always gonna rap about the hood or about Eldos, you know what I mean? I'm not always gonna have Afrikaans in my music. I'm just being myself. When I started rapping and stuff, I never ever had that trying to rap and sound American thing, you know. I was always just in my own accent and comfortable, and naturally it just happened. So the whole colored revolution is amazing because I think in the past 2 years it's just been becoming stronger and stronger, not only in music, in like other aspects, in theater and in whatever, TV, and you're just seeing more of these faces coming through, which is amazing, and I'm absolutely loving that because we need that representation like everywhere, in film and everything. So every time I see a bushy that's killing it, I'm just like, yes, you know, somebody needs to keep that fire burning, and we need to stop apologizing for it and stop making people let us feel bad, because at the end of the day they make us feel bad and then they still use our shit, they still use our slang and stuff, and they still want to take our things and make it cool, and that irritates me because we don't have the guts to take our own stuff and make it cool, which irritates me. So now that's why somebody like Youngster, who I completely applaud and will bow down to, he kind of changed the game, because now you must know, like from Terrible Twins and Early B and Ajami and all of them, they, yes, have got the formula, but there's just something that Youngster did, which mind you, he wasn't like this all the time. There's just something clicked in him, you know, and it's just so much more relatable and so much more to me. I don't know about other people, but like I loved Early B and Early B still to this day bow down to that, you know what I mean? Jetsvanger and all of them, they are really keeping the bushy thing going, and they're very Afrikaans. So for me, I love the music and stuff, but Afrikaans is not my first language, so sometimes there's a break, you know. Now with Youngster, it's literally bushy rap, because he's not always speaking Afrikaans, he just uses the slang, you know, Cape Town, Cape Malay slang, which is the same thing now here, and that's what I want to do. But it's not even that he's trying, he's just being himself. So that's basically what I do. And then because of all of these things that I do and the fact that it doesn't always work out, and we crash and burn, and it's people don't come to your events, or it's not well supported or whatever. And that's where I got my name from. That's actually where it came from, but it's from my radio days, where my producer we were looking for a name for me, because I was like, I don't want to be Robin on the radio, so boring. And I also was a different personality when I was on the radio, or not even that, on stage or wherever. It's like I become somebody else. It's kind of like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, So then we were struggling with names. I even put a poll out there, and then I was just like, hey, colors, you should have seen the names they wanted to give me, like Rob Zero and Rob Zazas and things. I was just like, no, Robaletica and stuff. Those are the names that people were sending me, and I was just like, hell no. So then my producer was like, what about Phoenix? Then I was like, hey, immediately when he said it, it just fit me, Then I thought about it, and he was like, yeah, I feel like you're very resilient. You keep coming back, and when you come back, you're like such a stronger force when you come back. So then I just accepted it from there, because when I really look back at my life, I was like, damn, I've been a phoenix. Everything that I've gone through, hectic personal things, that I've bounced back from, it's just made sense. And now I've taken it and created a brand out of it. It's not just about being a flame that rises from the ashes and all of that. It's now become a different thing, because now I'm working on being an icon. I'm working on being a mogul in this industry. So it's kind of like I'm kind of inspired by people like Missy Elliott and them, where your music career was booming, but now what are you doing? She's behind the scenes. She's pushing other artists, It's like Jermaine Dupri. It's like Russell Simmons, and make your mark, create your brand, step back, because you can't lead forever, and help other people. And for me, that's gonna be that's what I'd like to be, my lifelong legacy, is to continue to just cultivate and harvest artists, especially in environments where nobody's trying to do it. And that is where the freaking pot of gold is. That's what people don't get. And I'm gonna hate when the whole world opens. It's gonna be a love-hate thing. When the whole world opens up their eyes and realizes, hey, there's actually so much talent in these townships. Let's just use it and make it a whole thing. It's gonna be bittersweet, because okay, so now y'all wanna do it. After when we've been trying to get funding for kids. We've been, all of that. But I can't wait till that day happens, And I really do hope that my dream comes true of having a whole art center, and that's what I want to see. That's my vision. And for over the past few years, that has been my vision. I've lost my mind a couple of times, simply because the problem is bigger than me, and I try and take that all upon myself. And it really gets to me when we don't get something right, or if something falls through, or whatever, it gets to me. So I've decided to just relax, and I realized that I need to make myself bigger. I need to make myself more known, so that I can make a bigger impact, So I've put that on hold. Not that I'm neglecting it, and I feel like even if it takes me 5 years to get to the point I want to get to for me to go back, that's what I'm going to do. What I've decided to do is crowdfund. My friend of mine was telling me about it, and he was like, you know what, I feel like, why don't you just try this out for your album? Because that's what I really would love to do in 2018. By the end of the year is to release an album. I don't really want to believe in mixtapes and stuff. I'd like to call all my projects albums, regardless of whether people feel like it's album worthy or not, because it's not really about anybody. It's my body of work at the end of the day. So I'm gonna try out the crowdfunding thing, which will be basically me just letting people know that what I want to do and what my goals are, and if there's anyone out there who's aligned with my thinking, that would be amazing, because then just help a girl out. I think in the past 2 years, what has really gotten me through it, and what's really been my driving force, boils down to a simple word like love. In the past 2 years, I have been in probably the worst space of my life so far. That 23 to 25. It's like you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what's happening, and like just everything was so hectic in my life. Like everything was crashing down. At some point I didn't have a place to stay. Like my friend and I were just really hustling together, trying to survive basically. Like being kicked out, having to find another place to stay, and you know, sleeping on people's couches and sleeping over and stuff like that. And what's really kept me grounded and kept me going is love from friends and my mom and my siblings and my partner and just everybody, you know. And these are all the people that, because it's one thing to get love, which is not really love, which is like attention, you know, from people. Because now you're kind of getting into the limelight a little bit and people want to know you. That's not, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that people take note and the people love me and they love what I do and stuff. But I'm talking about the people that know me, you know, that really believe in my dream. That's really what's kept me going.